It was a cold night in Leiden, Netherlands, and French philosopher René Descartes picks up his pen and writes, I'm here quite alone, and at last I will devote myself sincerely and without reservation to the general demolition of my opinions. With such strict criteria for truth in his mind, it is not long before he depicted his master work, Meditations on First Philosophy. Descartes writes, while we thus reject all of which we can entertain the smallest doubt and even imagine that is false, we easily indeed suppose that there is neither God, nor sky, nor bodies, neither hands nor feet. Accordingly, the knowledge, I think, therefore I am, cogito ergo sum, is the first and most certain that occurs to one who philosophizes order. Very warm welcome to all my friends. And again, we welcome you to this Facebook live show of Asian College of Teachers. I was just reading through the Meditations in First Philosophy, and we all know this phrase in philosophy, cogito ergo sum, has been philosophized and has been used widely across. It is all about thinking. And in order to think more, it is through thinking that human beings have evolved through science, through arts, and through philosophy. It is this thinking which has evolved mankind to become much more superior, both in terms of technology and education. To talk more about the thinking, the cognition, which the French philosopher coined the words cogito ergo sum, we have today with us Adya Mukherjee. Ms. Adya, she is a psychologist and a corporate trainer. And most importantly, she is a wonderful motivational speaker. 16 plus years of experience in customer service soft skills. And she has been into BFSI sales training, BPO, and particularly into leadership. She is a certified management consultant member of IIM Calcutta. And to make the world better and a place to live is because of her vision. So we from Asian College of Teachers give a very warm welcome to Adya Mukherjee. Adya, a very warm welcome and welcome to this evening show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Just to correct, I'm Adya Chakraborty.
I'm so sorry, Adya Chakraborty. That's
No
right.
problem.
So
No
sorry.
problem.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we are discussing today, the basic topic of the discussion is design thinking. And we have with us Adya, who is basically a specialist in design thinking. So, in order to just to start with the part, Adya, my first question to you would be, what is design thinking? If you can just let know our viewers.
Yes, yes. It's very interesting thing, design thinking. And first, before I started explaining what is design thinking, I would like to tell you what is not design thinking. Why? Because the word design involved in it, and when it is involved with thinking, people have a lot of assumptions about this particular process. So first of all, let me tell you what is not design thinking. Design thinking is not only for designers, for architects or designers or fashion designers. No, it's for everyone, everyone. And design thinking is not kind of like only brainstorming. No, there are a lot of process involved into it. So if you think that it's like I'm sitting and I'm just doing brainstorming session and that's what design thinking is, no. uh, if you think that it's a 24-hour solution like any problem, no, it is not. It is not a solution for any problem, but it is a solution for many problems. Now I will explain you what is design thinking is. Then design thinking is a creative thinking, how you can creatively think in order to develop some idea, in order to develop some new idea, crazy new ideas. So uh, yeah, so that's what is design thinking is. So now when we process our brain into creative ideas, uh, that has a lot of processes, including the main part is um, to understand your customer, to understand your audience, and then based on their need, when we design something, it is actually design thinking. So, if you don't mind, can I show you something? I think that would be more clear if I show. Can you see? Um,
Yes, absolutely. It is clear.
okay. So if you see this picture, you can see that that there's a paradox, and you see, I don't know whether you can read this, you know, the lines, but let me read it for you. How the customer explained it. The customer explained it. You can see there's a tree and there's a swing on the tree, and how the project leader understood it. You see, there's completely different picture. How the analyst designed it, absolutely a different picture. The swing is in between the tree actually. How the programmer wrote it and what the beta tester received it is just a rope, hanging rope. How the business consultant described it, a sofa in a swing. How the project was documented, nothing was there actually. So what operation installed, how the customer has been built. It's a big bridge, so definitely the customer has been built like anything. And then you can see the customer service. There was nothing. The tree itself has been cut down. What marketing advertised? Something which doesn't exist. Now, when the ultimate result has been shown to the customer really need what the customer really need is a tire, swinging tire, hanging on a rope and on a tree. So that was the customer need. So yeah, now you will tell me what I would understand with this picture, why I have showed this picture to you when I'm explaining design thinking. So, what exactly comes to your mind is definitely there is a clear understanding of the message has gone wrong. Communication is not right because we don't really think about taking feedback when we are doing something, when we are coming up with new ideas or thoughts. We just run on our own, and that's what happened. And we have a wrong conception that customer knows everything, and when the customer will tell me what they want, we would, based on that, we would design something. But the idea is completely wrong. Customer doesn't know anything. Customer is not the one who will tell you what you have to design for them. You have to show them what exactly they are looking for, and that's what happens with many companies. I think I'm there. Yeah. So
That's right.
if you, for example, if you see Netflix, if you see Amazon, if you see a lot of other companies, big companies, they actually have a design thinker, and I don't have to explain you where they are today. Um, Imagine if they would have done it with the understanding of the customer. Like the customer want this, the customer want this lot of platforms where a lot of different languages, movies and series will be going on. They don't have to go to the theater. They might have designed it looking forward in the future that that kind of need might come, which as a customer I might have doesn't know. I didn't know about it, right? When the Netflix comes, something new to me, and I wanted to use it. So that's what interesting about design thinking. So it's all about human centered process. Means understanding your needs and then design it accordingly. Design it
Absolutely.
according to your need, and putting myself into your shoes, I would start thinking that if I would have been a customer, then what I would have wanted.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. So we did a wonderful initiation. Just to remind the viewers who lately joined in, we are in conversation with Arja Chakraborty and we are talking on design thinking. Arja, I think you would agree that I think it was John E. Arnold around about 1959 and 60 who first actually coined the term design thinking. And that actually came up in his book called Creative Engineering, in which he actually lays down the points involved with design thinking. As you rightly pointed out, that it is all about thinking early. I think that great entrepreneurs succeeded today only because they have thought early which could be coming, what are the unforeseen circumstances that might be coming, and design it accordingly. And I have also seen, I see my daughter, and I think the entire generation which is going on through this pandemic, the entire learning procedure, which was totally different during our days, has been changed. So my next question to you, Arja, would be definitely when we form a design thinking, the rope analogy that you showed actually is something which we perceive, but the basic thing is something different. So I would like to know, or rather, if you can educate our viewers, is that what would be the key principles of design thinking based on which we build up the stories or the bricks in order to make that building?
So it's a long process actually, which cannot be defined in this 5 minutes or 10 minutes of discussion. But the main thing which we need to understand when we are doing something like that, when we are designing, when we are in a creative thought process, uh, we have to add compassion and empathy into it. So which we don't do, and that's why it's unique. It makes very unique approach to the customer, because when we understand, as I already told you, that when we understand the pain points, and how would we understand the pain points? By applying the empathy, that okay, fine, these are the issues we are facing now. According to according to those issues, how would I actually cut down those pain points and give it a gain point to the customer? So converting the pain points to the gain points, and in between there are a lot of processes involved which I cannot explain it in 5 minutes of discussion, but I would try to make it a little brief. Like, first of all, there are 5 stages in design thinking, where first thing is initiate. So you need to initiate an idea. You need to initiate and then ideate. Then you come up with a lot of crazy ideas, like, you know what, I have these ideas. But the ideas are viable, feasible, or desirable. Three things we always have to keep in mind, because I can have an idea to build a balloon to go to moon, but whether this idea is viable, feasible, or desirable is not, that's the question. And that's what where design thinking has given you a clear map. Because while we are designing something, we are coming up with an idea, helping people or helping a product or a redevelopment of product, or maybe it is an idea of I'm going for a traveling. Uh, I need to see these 3 points, whether it is viable, whether it is desirable, or whether it is feasible or not. Viability is like, desirability is definitely whether it is desired or not. My idea is definitely whether it has been desired by those people for whom I am making it. Number two is whether it's viable or not. Viable is technically viable. If I want to create a balloon going to a moon, whether it's technically viable or not, that's also I have to think in mind. Whether it's feasible, economically feasible or not, that also I have to keep in mind. So any idea it's coming doesn't mean that I have to restrict myself. Definitely I can have a lot of crazy ideas, and that's why design thinking is unique, because you don't have to put yourself into kind of abstractions or limitations, like no, I cannot write down this idea because it's not viable, feasible, or desirable. You write it down and then you decide among those ideas which are your viable, desirable, and feasible. And then you apply your compassion, empathy, then you ideate, then you generate, and then actually the process goes on. Uh, and you need to understand who are your users, who are your stakeholders, and based among that, this idea actually generates. Then you get a clear roadmap. So, okay, fine, I'm making it for these people. They want it. I'm sure. I'm sure about it. And now I have a roadmap because I know this is viable. I know this is desirable. I know this is feasible.
So, if I may summarize those who are joining a little bit late, design thinking would be something which we need to empathize, which is point number one, which you call
Exactly.
number one, empathize. Second point, if I have rightly noted it down, because it's awesome learning from you, is that after that empathize comes define. I have to define the idea, what
Yes.
actually the idea is all about. Then what we need to do is that we have to, what we used to call is a techno-economic viability. I mean to say, we need to see whether it is viable or not.
Yes.
And once it is viable, then we take it across through that, and we
Exactly.
actually define a roadmap. So if we take this point from here, it has been a huge, I would say, a sea change in terms of design thinking which has come across, especially if we consider the education sector. So my next question would be, because you have been into this area now, when we talk of introducing design thinking, for example, to whatever, let us not talk about pandemic because we are already into this and we really
Yeah.
want to get out of that, right?
Really.
So if we really want to design a curriculum, say for example, I was going through the journal, I found it that Stanford University in 2001 was the first to start a curriculum based on design thinking. So can you just give us an idea in the educational sector, if I consider say curriculum development or even the general approach for teaching, how this design thinking could help, or how it is implementing into the uh, current educational system?
Okay. So just think about a classroom with students and what they're doing. They are having a lot of innovative, crazy ideas. They're not going outside. They are not fighting with each other. They are not backbiting. They are not, bullying anyone. But what they are doing, they are involving in a kind of environment. They engaged in a kind of environment where they have been asked to come up with some ideas. So their brain engaged in creativity. And we all know, and as a psychologist, I'm saying that when you involve your brain in creativity, there are a lot of positive aspects in life will open. Because when your brain involved in creative aspects, you will get a lot of positivities from life. You become a very positive person. And also, since design thinking has one greatest thing, which is compassion and empathy, because without having an empathy, you cannot design anything for anyone. Say, for example, if I'm a teacher and I asked my student, like, you know what, I want you to design a dustbin so that whatever this all dust or whatever these garbages are there, they should not be in front of the school. So I, as a student, might not be interested if I do not have the empathy to understand what these garbages are doing for other, parents or the other schoolmates they're coming. So, in order to make them understand that why it is important to create a new design for this garbages, uh, we need to make them understand. See, these garbages, they're doing this kind of problems in school, and because of this kind of problems are happening. So they started developing a compassionate mind, a heart, from very early age. And what do you think? Isn't it great if somebody is having this kind of knowledge since very early age? Isn't it great to have this kind of
Yeah,
learning?
I think you cited a wonderful example. I was reading through design thinking today also. There is a school in Bangalore which is called Ikya School, one of the leading schools, and the grade four, class four students actually, there was a garbage crisis. That's the way you
Okay.
define the dustbin. Yeah,
Wow.
it is true. And they actually met that garbage crisis as going through a blog, on design
Okay.
thinking. And it was written that Bangalore's Ikya School has designed. Uh, Obviously, spontaneously they don't know, but the thinking was to meet the garbage crisis, which is done by grade 4 students. So
Wow, I
that's
didn't
the
know that.
wonderful. Yeah, yeah, you can just read through. It's a very important blog I was
Okay.
going through when I went through this design thinking part, that who Johnny Arnold is. So I'll just try to make a point that when we started initially with the design thinking, the 4 points that the father of design thinking, John Allen, made. The first one was novel functionality, second was higher performance, third one was lower production cost, and fourth one was increased stability.
Hmm.
These are the four golden rules that we take forward and go ahead with design thinking. So from here, automatically what I would like to ask is that empathy, when we are talking about as adults, we understand. My question to you is that what would be the next step in order to inculcate that empathy within the youngsters?
Uh, Next step means, see, empathy is something. I don't think there's a first step or next step is there. All we need to develop is their mindset to understand someone's problem, their mindset to put themselves into someone else's shoes and understand, okay, if this might happen to me, how I might have been reacted on that situation. So yeah, so then only I can come up with my pain points, which I was saying to you. So without understanding the pain points, how would you convert into gain points? So why Netflix is so famous? Why Amazon Prime, now all these OCD platforms nowadays so famous? Why? Because they have already understand the pain points. There are no many people, they are working class. They don't like to go outside, and in one single day when they get leave, or Saturday, Sunday, whatever. In India, it's only one day, and they don't want to go outside. They just want to relax, have fun at home, spend time with family. So that's a pain point for them, and they realized it. Somebody out there designing, when designing these ideas, they realized it. And how they realized it? They interviewed a lot of people. They understand, okay, this happened. Fine, then these are my pain points. Now I want to convert it in a gain point. What exactly I should do? Let that theater come to my home. Let everybody come watch, having popcorn, everything. Are you happy? I'm with you. Not going theater, but it's a theater for us. So that's what design thinking does. It's a wonderful thing, actually. So when we started applying it in life, it's automatically developed, and you become more compassionate. You become more empathized with people, and
I
there's
think
more
that's a wonderful,
empathy.
yeah, that's a wonderful, knowledge that you just gained. So, viewers who are watching, I think that this particular incident is really wonderful. So, if I take things forward from there, so Adya, what you are telling is basically more of a mentality change.
Exactly.
I would say the way we think, the
Exactly.
entire process. And right at this
Absolutely.
moment, what is happening around the entire sea change in the educational system. So I think that this would be also taken as a part of design thinking. What would be the consequence, Adda? Do you think that the situation that we are facing today, uh, we never faced? I think the entire world is facing a new challenge in terms of every aspect of our life. The time when we are waking up and the time we are going back to sleep. So, what would be the consequence in case that we today are not into the way of design thinking? Do you think that it is going to impact the education system? Or, I mean to say, obviously, we all understand. I'm trying to make a point is that whether this design thinking is not into the place right now, and when the situation strikes it over, when the lightning strikes on your head, and you start design thinking. My point of concern is very subtle. One is that when the emergency has struck on you, you are thinking. That is one way of thinking. One another way is that before the emergency strikes in, you foresee and then you start. Both has its virtues and both has its vices. What would you think
Exactly.
would be the ideal situation to do?
See, I'll give you one giant example, giant company. I think everybody knows that. Nokia. So If I'm giving you an example of Nokia, they are one of the biggest and largest company in Finland, and then how they come across with a lot of products, and then finally they come with the mobile set. And as far as my memory is concerned, it was the first mobile set I've seen my dad's had, and this Nokia 2100 is one of the best selling mobile out of the world. They earned, I think, 70% revenue out of it. And then what happened to Nokia today? No more. I have to sell that company with I think, yeah, $10 million loss, I guess. 60% reduction in profit. Why? Because when we stop thinking, changing ourselves, when we become very saturated, what we have, we are happy with that. We don't want to change. This is what customer wants. This is how customer are. They are not gonna change. We try to complain on customers. We try to complain on society and situation, rather changing ourselves, rather looking at, but what exactly I can do. I have just given one workshop on design thinking a few days back. There's one guy who has an interior design business, and he said, "How come it will helpful for me?" So I said, "Just come up with one idea where you think your customer will be very very happy with you. Your customer would be very delighted to get a service. So customer would never change. They would never be happy. They'll always negotiate." And he start complaining. Then I said, "That's the problem. You already have a mentality, you have created a mindset that my customer would never change. But you are not going ahead and interviewing those customers. You have already given a service. That can you please tell me one thing which you like most about my service? Can you please tell me five things which you do not like about interior designing itself? Have you ever done that?" He said, "No, I know they will not say good about thing." I said, "Fine, they won't say good thing. Then come out with the pain points. What are their pain points? What they really fear of having it? Budget? Is it a is it the noise? They don't like it. Something happening inside of house, or is it that damage fear that my product will be damaged when they will go inside outside with my product. I don't know, there are a lot of people, I can't trust them. How would I keep my house open when they are here?" There are a lot of pain points you will find out, and try to work on it and be unique working on those pain points. Have you ever done that? He said, "No, I never tried it. I don't know whether it will work or not." So I said, "Try it. Try it for once, and then you come back to me, and then you say whatever you're complaining about your customers." So we are more into in a complaining session. We know this is the market, this is what our customer is, this is what the budget should be, and that's what we should do. And that's how the entire system is going on, going on, going on. If somebody come up with something new, then it becomes a trend. But what about creating something very unique? As you see Facebook, we are doing live session here, right? What an amazing idea this man has come up with. And he's keep on growing, 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 growing. There's no stopping.
And most importantly, you will see that the thing to learn is that if, as we are almost all the time over the internet, every time Google or YouTube or Facebook, they are changing features. Okay, we understand there are trillions of advertisement money that they gain, but just
Hmm.
think of the amount of changes every time in Google Compose, Gmail, one things come up, then you can schedule, then you can add a calendar, then you can do activities, all those things. So, Adya, my question would be, if we take this, kind of a change that is being provided into the customer, I think that when we are assessing a student, I mean to say student assessment, I will give you a classic example. There's no problem. We are all talking, and the ACT is a family. My daughter performs dance, okay, classical dance, okay.
Nice.
Now, these days, the dance classes are being held online.
Online. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, even the dance classes are being held online. The question is that when her teacher called up, she is into classical dance, so they have got certain mudras, movement of hands, etc.,
Yes,
which
yes,
is
yes.
far beyond my knowledge. But anyway, as a father, I hope you understand. We also
Yes,
gain a
yes.
knowledge when we are into the system. Now, my wife actually made an important question that although considering design thinking, We take design thinking and she is dancing. Wonderful idea. The dance is being conducted online, things are going. But the question of what I found, and which would be the next point which I would like to ask you, is that can we really assess the movements of the hand, the movements of the feet of my daughter cannot be seen through online. So my question is that how far assessment of a student can be done through design thinking?
Again, if you are coming up with new idea of assessment, you can apply design thinking there. If as you have just now told me all the pain points, right? That my mudras and all whatever she's doing, it's not understandable. And in online, obviously there's a clear connection when I am with you face to face. And now I am with you online. It's something very different. My body language, my presence, my vibes, you can feel completely when I am with you. That is completely a different experience altogether, which you cannot compete on online. But yes, if you want to do a proper assessment, and now you have a pain points. That what are my pain points? It's like I cannot connect. That's the main problem. Now, how I can resolve it through design thinking, if I have to apply it on online. So now, if you want to remodule it, come up with new ideas, crazy ideas. Yes, you can apply. You can apply design thinking. You can apply design thinking in anything, anything. You want to change your kitchen, you want to remodel your kitchen, you want to make a new shelf or something, you want to adjust, there it comes design thinking. So design thinking is applicable everywhere.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Otherwise, we will move on to the next part
Okay,
because this is a very enriching question session that we have. Okay,
I got one, I guess. Yeah.
Rudrani is asking how can we incorporate design thinking in the modern world of learning and development structure? I think this is a very pertinent question, and you would be happy to answer.
Learning and development, well, design thinking itself is a learning and development. um, Now, if you want to come up with some module, like see, I have written one post in LinkedIn that day. It's about feedback, giving feedback, receiving feedback. And I was thinking that although we all know that, it's very important receiving feedback, getting feedback from others, and then working on it. I know everybody knows there in the world. But how convenient we are when it comes to giving feedback, when it comes to receiving feedback. In mind, there's something going on, right? No, 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 no. My entire, worship which I do for me. Everybody of us, we worship each other, right? Inside of the here. I don't want to disturb it. I don't want anybody to touch that. And when we are giving feedback, we are also sometimes resistant. Oh, I'm giving a feedback that might not good. That person will not be able to take it. So knowing is not a help. So now what I was thinking, why not creating a module for it, like to teach people how to give feedback, how to take feedbacks. Feedback is not a grievance, feedback is not your personal statement or your judgment or your opinion about someone. It is something very different. It's something about what you've learned, what you want, and what you're expecting from it, whether this expectation has met up or not. So that's what
I
feedback
think
is.
we should rather recoin the term, as our boss says, it is always feed forward rather than feedback. I think that is
Yeah.
also a part of design thinking.
So yeah, so that is what I was thinking, that it's a part of learning and development. Like if I come up with a new module of now, now I start training people about giving and receiving feedback, then it's design thinking is applicable. Design thinking you can apply when you come up with new ideas, when you come up with something unique, something you want to create or remodule. You can apply design thinking anywhere, even in learning and development, as my example is considered.
Rudrani, she has got her answer. We are coming to the close of the show. So before we do that, let me check up if you have any further questions. My question to you, Aja, next would be that we are all thinking of changes, but should we also take into mind that how far, as you talked about the viability factor, but other than the viability, how much? Okay, we have a question. Let us take this one. The students have always been asked to think outside the box and be creative, but they are not taught how to think creatively or how to design work on their ideas strategically. It is high time that we stop looking at creativity as a skill that everyone is gifted. I think it is not a question, it is a very good statement made by
Mm.
Ashika. So
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
indeed that everyone is gifted, but
Ashika,
rather
yeah, I would like to add, Ashika, very nice. Design thinking is not for creative people. It's not only for creative people. Design thinking is for everyone. And we are all gifted. If somebody is coming and saying, you don't have this capacity, you cannot think, we all can think because we all have given this CPU by God. Mhm. It's immense capacity, immense capacity. Only thing, we need to open the door and we need to just think. So if anybody is thinking and asking and coming and saying you have to be gifted to be creative, it's bullshit. It doesn't happen like that. So a design thinking is not for only for creative people. No, design thinking for everyone, everyone. And I would tell you, there's one company called IDA. Um, they actually have a group of people. You can't imagine where from they have come. They are the design thinkers of that particular company who make all the big products all over the world. One is two times failed in engineering, and the one is like from one is psychologist, someone is management, someone is from college dropout, someone is just uh, 10th standard pass. They are all in their creative chain. They are all design thinker of that particular company. So when it comes to creativity, your education, your background, your gift, it doesn't matter. It matters is how you are actually, pursuing it and applying your creativity. Thank you.
And what I was asking to you, Adya, is that apart from the the change that we are trying to bring to design thinking, if you are considering the commercial part, then we also have to be aware that whether that change is adaptable to the culture, whether that change is adaptable to the market also. But other than that, if you make a change which is not adaptable to that current society, I think that will be a failure.
Yes, that's what I said. Three things have to be considered whenever you are designing something, whenever you come up with some idea, whether it is viable, whether it is desirable, whether it is feasible. These three things you have to keep in mind. So anything I can desire doesn't mean that it would be viable, it would be feasible. Technically, it has to be viable, economically feasible, and the idea has to be desirable by everyone. And then only that design would be a successful design.
Absolutely. So, if we summarize today's session, Adya, what would be the three key points apart from the viability factor that you would like to draw a conclusion?
Design thinking is a human-centered approach. So first of all, as I said, that it has to add with an empathy, ideate, generate, process, and there are other factors like creating prototype and all, but that would become very confusing if I say all this. So I think for today's session, these three things, if people can remember, helps them a lot in anywhere in life. Like these three things before, whenever you are, you know, coming up with some idea, think about these three things.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we are coming to the almost at the end of this show. Me, Shaunak, I would like to thank you again, Adya Chakraborty, for joining us. I know how things are. You're quite busy, uh, and but still you manage time for Asian College of Teachers. Thank you very much. And it
Thank
was a
you.
great learning. I think that we all who are the viewers really learned today. And it is basically a human instinct, as Adya has directly pointed out, that we are all gifted. But only thing is that, just like Rene Descartes, around about 500 years ago, can we find a time at cold of the night when we sit with a cup of coffee and we say, "I think, therefore I am." I think
Yes,
that
absolutely.
is basically the key in which we get the thinking. Thank you, Adnan, from the core of my heart and the entire Asian College of Teachers family. Thank you for joining us. This is Shaunak signing off from the Facebook Live show, Design Thinking. We will catch up soon with new sessions. Stay with us, stay safe, and stay happy. Bye.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.